Welcome to the Monarch Metamorphosis podcast. I am Dr. Greene, and today I have the surreal pleasure of interviewing Miss Jordan Roseboro. For background, Jordan, truth be told, you kind of just appeared 5 years ago when we were opening up our West Hollywood club, and I don't believe in coincidence. I believe the synchronicity in the universe will always give us exactly what we need when we need it. We needed someone to help out front of house. You literally just showed up, and next thing you know, you're our director of operations and an indispensable aspect of the Monarch system, both from how you just interact with our members and guests and take care of them, but also operating the backside from the business. So couldn't have planned what we now have with you, but the universe decided that we needed to work together and build something great. So now we're here. We're both from the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. You're from Milwaukee, but pretty close.
I'm from Chicago, but you're from Wheaton.
From a suburb of Chicago. Ultimately, I didn't realize this when we first started working together, but your background, other than playing super high level college soccer, also playing professional soccer all over the world and in high level leagues that people know about, Champions League and things like that. So I thought it would be interesting because part of the genesis of what led to Monarch was my belief that pro athletes, college athletes have had access to this kind of system for a very long period of time, and why not everyone else? Why shouldn't they be able to have trainers and physios and nutritionists and medical team? And you see with pro athletes too, when they're in it, they love it. And then when they're retired or cut, all of a sudden they're like, well, how do I take care of myself? Because everything's been done for me. I just showed up when I was supposed to lift or whatever. So I'd love to take, today and this time and, give people a window who are listening into, you and things that happened in your life and moments that shaped you as a person throughout playing soccer. And then we'll dive into, how we here can help people that are currently playing professional sports or perhaps phasing out the end of their career that still have, 5-6 decades of life left. What do you do? How do you take care of yourself? So I'll just let you lead off in terms of...
Yeah, I think what attracted me to Monarch was the fact that you offered what I have always had my entire life to the everyday person. Because when I did transition from not being a professional or collegiate athlete, I didn't know how to lift on my own. All of that was done for me. I was told what to run. I was given packets, was given how to lift. So that's the first thing that when I started at Monarch and I just kind of appeared, it was easy for me to kind of sell it to new people coming in because I have a lived experience. The collegiate and the professional aspects are different because I was on different teams in my professional career. And I remember when I was living and playing in Kazakhstan, our recovery after games would be sitting in the sauna. And that was so new to me because in America, we do, the cold plunge, or we're rolling, foam rolling, or we're doing a recovery run. But when I was in Kazakhstan and even when I was in Norway, even those two countries were completely different on how they recovered. And so when I was in Norway, we would do long recovery runs as a team. And then it was in college, we did it based on how many minutes you played in a game. So if you played under 70 minutes, then you had to do fitness the next day. If you played over 75 minutes or 70 minutes, then you did more of a recovery lighter day. So it's always changed, and I felt like I was constantly learning how to take care of my body. But from college to the professional, I think I learned a lot more about sleep. In college, you don't get to sleep because you're a student athlete. You've got classes, you've got tutors, you got study hall hours, you have all of these things, and you have to get it done in 18 hours, right? And so going from the collegiate to the professional level, I learned how to eat, actually. That's also because I had vets that would be you can't eat French fries. You have to eat this, you have to eat that. I learned how to sleep simply because I have more time. I don't not trying to exert my energy too much because I want to be able to be fresh for practice the next day. Even drinking, I didn't really drink during the season because I didn't want that to affect or have any effect on my performance. So I feel like each year I played, I learned more and more about my body, which I think is what we teach all of our clients of like, how to identify different things in your body. And it may be so minuscule, but I knew that if I had eggs before a game and it sit well with me, it didn't digest the way that I needed to. So I would avoid stuff like that because I would feel some sort of heartburn, or I'd feel it not settle in my stomach. But I had to learn all of that so that I could have peak performance.
Yeah, I want to revisit something because whether you acknowledged it or not, you said a simple thread. Two things. One, what allowed you to perform at a high level was sleep, diet, and recovery.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that we see here with Monarch, which is just because you're not playing a professional sport, if you're not getting good sleep, you're not thinking well in meetings, you're not making good decisions. If you're not eating good food, potentially you're inflamed, you're bloated, you're sitting in a meeting, I don't feel that great, I'm not going to pay attention. Trying to get exercise on a regular basis, we're busy. So you think of it like you're a student athlete, how do I fit exercise into my day? Because business is making money. So they prioritize those other things where you guys prioritized training. So regardless if you're a student athlete or you're, a Monarch member or just, live in Los Angeles, the things that you need to be what you were and what you are now are literally the same thing. Literally the same. Yeah. And I think that's part of what I find interesting is we've had examples of what to do and people are just well, I'm not wearing a Miami Hurricanes uniform, so I don't need to do those things that. No, everyone has to do them. And it's just how you get, evaluated on, are you doing well in life is not did you play well in a game? Now it's are you performing well at work? Or are you, whatever that is. So I just find it interesting that this is nothing new. We just have to separate the fact that just because you're not an athlete or a pro athlete,
for sure,
the how you get there is exactly the same. And you literally just said it, whether you knew it or not. The second part, and this is a conversation for a different day. At this point in college sports, let's just be honest, y'all are there to play a sport. Let's not try to you say, you're just I got to fit all this other stuff in.
Yeah, but you still have to, they're paying you to go to school.
But at some point, let's make it easier on you guys because you're developing bad habits because you're trying to be everything. It's just
no, I mean, we call it the 3 S's. You can only focus on 2, and it's school, sport, social. And you have to pick 2. It's actually impossible to do all 3 and be present for all 3.
You never met me. How long have you known me?
You definitely aren't social. You're not social at all. You're in bed by 8:30, so let's not. That's not.
I wish.
If you're not, you're working. So, and then you meditate for 3 hours before bed. So, the fact that I know your schedule is insane. But
not even true.
It is. You have your crystals and you meditate and you do some spray.
I do spray.
Yeah.
Lemon spray.
So the fact that I know that we've spent too much time.
Shout out Deadcool, DEDCOL. Not sponsored. It's a great linen spray.
Free promotion.
100%.
That wasn't part of the script.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's impossible to focus on the 3 S's. So you have to take a little bit of sacrifice. If you want good health, then maybe your social life isn't as social. But you can't be social without doing everything that you can to have longevity of your life. You have to take care of yourself in order to be social. So as a student athlete, during the season, it was I focus on school and sport. Social was for the spring. And in the spring, I would, focus a little less on school because those were my easy classes. So I could focus on my sport and be social because then also have a life, but still be focused. So that's how we would do it, is the 3 S's. And I feel that I've applied that to life too, where maybe it's not sport, but it's work. And so I have to balance, okay, maybe for the next 6 months, I focus on my sport, which is working out, and my work. And then, I can be social in other parts. So you have to learn how to rotate them. and not be so like rigid, because then you can burn out with anything.
What was the hardest part about transitioning out of that structured environment once you decided like soccer was no longer going to be a huge part of your life?
The first thing, I felt a huge sense of freedom because I actually got to like go to things and be with people, but it was how to work out and how to sleep. I think transitioning from a sport to work, I wasn't sleeping that well. I got excited that I got to like eat whatever I wanted, so I started to do that. I started to develop really bad habits that hindsight's 2020, but I wish I would have been more on my schedule that I was always on as a professional athlete, because now I'm finding myself having to break down those habits because it is not structured and it's not as routined. So that was like the hardest part. I just didn't know. I lifted my entire life, but I didn't know how, so.
Yeah. I've thought for a while, and I don't think I'm off on this, like, and I'm interested in your take, kind of like how our ecosystem here with Monarch like mimics what you were doing. Because I'm convinced like if we were able to do all these things on our own, we wouldn't have the innumerable amount of health issues, because there's more gyms than ever. There's more, like, the fact of the matter is like you did well because you showed up and someone guided you and someone helped you, right? You have that same level of help on your taxes for the most part. Like people are like, this is what you do, like be really good at that. Yeah. And I'm just going to give you, I'm going to show up, I'm going to give you the information. And I really think when it comes to health, like, because it's seemingly complex, although it's really not that complex, I think accountability is super important. And once you get out of that structure where like someone will come down on you if you're not sticking with it. Yeah. You said it, you're like, I got to eat whatever I want. I loved it. I really let loose. Like, that's what a lot of people do for most of their life because there's no accountability. And so, I think one of the things we're solving for in terms of like, how can you make the Monarch membership something where like, if you're not participating, like it really hurts, whether that's how you look, how you feel, what you're paying for your insurance. Like, I think those are all avenues that we really want to explore.
Yeah.
Because for you, if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, you didn't get playing time. And like, I'm not trying to say like people need to be like whipped for not like staying fit, but like there has to be some sort of accountability component. And I think that's something that, for us, it's price point. Like, we're not cheap, but we're also not exorbitantly expensive, but we're, something enough where people are like, I'm spending this money, I'm going to come here and do that. And I think that's totally okay. Like happens in all aspects of your life. You buy a nice car, like you're probably going to take care of it a little bit more because you've spent more money on it. So, like for people that may be listening that follow you or maybe in their professional college or transitioning out, like how close is what we're doing to like what you experienced when you were going through that
phase? It's extremely close. I think the thing that is different is that when you are a professional athlete or collegiate athlete, you have to be there. Like you said, if I want playing time, I have to do my summer fitness packet. No one's telling me to do it, but I have to do it because I don't want to be last in sprints. So there's something that holds you accountable, where Monarch is doing a very good job because people don't have to be here, helping them be here through community. People want to be here because they want to, chat with you and they want to chat with the coaches. They've built that relationship with people. So I feel like instead of having to be here, people want to be here. And in terms of doing a physical and seeing the PTs, like it's called the Hecht Athletic Center, which is at the University of Miami. That's where the doctor was. That's where the PTs were. That's where the gym was. If I had any issues, I went straight there, right? Like if I wasn't feeling well, I'm strep throat. We had a doctor that came in Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if I couldn't see him, I would go to like the clinic and get rushed in, priority. But I always had someone to help me take care of myself and give me answers. So I've always had trouble with vitamin D. I've always known that because they did an in-depth metabolic panel. They even helped trade up sickle cell, and they helped me with learning more about that, and I've always known, but I was never in a place of like, here's how this helps you, how you need to hydrate more, you need to eat certain things. And that was the first time I got education, was when I was in college, because I had the people there to educate me And the same thing at the professional level. And I think the biggest thing is just education, and that's what Monarch provides. How else am I going to know how to take care of my body if I don't know? You can Google, but you still don't know, right? It helps to have someone tell you that. And that's how every athlete operates. They are educated on what is individually wrong with them, because not everybody has a trait of sickle cell. Not everyone is vitamin D deficient or iron deficient, but they've given individual help and programs and education for all of us to learn how to eat, how to sleep. And I think that's why I love Monarch so much, is because it's not like this complex information, but it's just simple information to teach you how to take care of yourself that you can carry with you, whether you're with Monarch or not. And I think that's been our biggest thing that I value is people quit. Yes, it's going to hurt them in the sense of like they don't have the accountability, but at least they're leaving with tools to help themselves, whether they're here or not, so.
Yeah, I was talking about that this morning. Is like, I love Dr. Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman, Mark Hyman, all the people that are leading the charge for this preventative movement, where I've always felt like we excel, and it's just a reflection of what I've done, and I'm assuming you probably did, was like just telling me what to do doesn't help me at all. I need to put it into practice, right? So having a space, a facility, a system where like you can actually show up and on a daily basis, like put it into practice, I think that's absolutely critical for anyone, regardless of like whether it's us or someone else tries to create something like us. Like that is how people are going to get better, is like they're taking information, they're putting it into practice. You can't just watch dribbling videos and like all of a sudden you're going to get better. Like, and I think that's where we're weak as a society, is like there's a ton of smart people that have learned a lot and researched a lot, but there's no place for these folks that are consuming and absorbing the information to go. Like, where do they do it? If I go to my YMCA, like, do the trainers know about progressive overload? Do they know about periodization? If I go to my primary care, is he going to look at my homocysteine, ApoB, like some of these metrics that fall outside of the traditional insurance coverage umbrella? Like, the answer is probably not, unless you're willing to pay a lot of money. And, again, the people that need the most help, like money matters. Like, they're not necessarily super fluid.
Sure. Even just like the medical aspect too, like
super valuable.
When I was in college and at the professional level, I'm getting full panels done. And then when I stopped, I wasn't getting full panels because it wasn't covered by insurance. And I don't understand that. So I'm like, wait, why is this and this missing? They're like, oh, you have to pay more through insurance. And I always thought that was just like what you got, normal. And that is the case here, where like we do a full screening of everyone. So they know, like, that's the only reason I knew I was vitamin D deficient, is because I did a physical and they screened it. Whereas in high school, they didn't do that. I sensed it when you walked in.
That's a skill I have.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's.
Put my hand out and said, child, you're vitamin D deficient.
No, that would have been helpful.
Oh, happy days. And then we went after
anyway,
it.
We're getting off topic. But that's the fact that you do that for our clients, and that's, I've done it quarterly, is amazing. It's probably the only skill you have is being a physician. So congrats.
Thank you. With the time we have left, I'd like to end with a couple questions, and typically it's one, but for you, I have two. First and foremost, I have no exit strategy here. I hope we get to do Monarch forever, as long as I live, because I think there's plenty of people that need help, and I think there's plenty of ways we can continue to integrate, innovate, and develop new things that we haven't even thought of yet. Maybe it's an insurance program, virtual platform we're working on. Who knows what else comes from there?
I mean, you always have a ton of ideas, so.
A ton.
Always. It's too many.
That's not my question. My question for you is, like, looking back on your life, what would you like people to say, like, was your legacy? This was my legacy. This is what I came here to do.
I think what I would want to leave this earth with is that I'm a good friend, I'm a good daughter, that I genuinely care about people, that I give 100% in everything that I do, and that I can be stern, but I'm also very empathetic. Like, I want the best for everybody, but I want to push you to be your very best. And I want to be a good leader. I think I've always wanted to be a good leader, and I strive to be a good leader. So that's why I love working with you, because I get to learn how to be a leader. in different ways that I am lacking, and you've helped me a lot over the last 5 years. But yeah, I just want to be overall kind and someone that is tying it into Monarch, someone that has helped grow something that is beneficial to people, because my own parents were members at Monarch at one point. And I think I'm the only employee that had their actual parents be paying memberships here.
Hey,
so
we may be opening a spot in Vegas, so we may be
my
able to
dad
help
would
them
sign
again.
up right away, but that is what my legacy I think would be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if I don't really want to have, or I'm not feeling like having a difficult conversation, I just send you. So I appreciate it. It's more if I don't feel like it, not that I can't.
You don't want to.
Final question. We used to have someone work with us named Erica, who's also a professional soccer player. Yes. She went to University of Florida. Do you think you would have been more successful in life if you went to Florida versus Miami?
I don't know.
But she's a Hall of Famer at Florida.
No, she is. And she was very tough to guard in college. It's just two different styles, two different conferences. She was SEC, I was ACC. No offense, Erica, but the ACC is a little harder,
Nice.
You had UNC, Wake Forest, all these, Florida State. But it's just two different styles of play. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have fit their style in terms of, my sixth position and how I played soccer. So, but we played them every year. So
Small world. We got you all together.
I know, very, very small world, but that's sports. You wouldn't know about that because you don't play them.
I was an elite vocal a cappella musician, so I know. I know.
And yet
a
you
little
don't
bit.
know anyone that sings.
I know a ton of people that sing.
Who?
What do you mean? Who?
Like, name them. Who do you know personally?
That sings?
Yeah, that's famous.
That's famous.
That has a blue check.
I have a blue check.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Did you pay for it?
Does it come out of my budget? I'm not sure. Who, man? That's a good question. Choral musicians. I know a bunch of musicians, but a lot of them are like DJs. I got a guy who plays guitar, so I think he sings too, but he's not like a lead singer.
I mean, that might count, but
yeah.
it's
It's all good. I was pretty
are
good.
you gonna? I think you should end this with a little a cappella, so that the people.
I already did.
No, but like.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, happy day.
A different song though. That doesn't really fit your vocal.
Oh, happy day. That's a little bit more, but I don't want to get religious on the podcast.
That's why I said pick it.
When Jesus washed. All right. That's a great place to end it. Well, Jordan, we've been working together for 5 years. Seems like 5 minutes with how fast things go.
For sure.
We've walked through many phases of life together. Loss of loved ones, work hardships, work successes. I really don't see us stopping. So as crazy as this sounds, like other than my immediate family, like you're probably the most consistent thing in my life, which I'm very grateful for. So
Same.
Thank you for all this information today. And, hopefully we can talk about some of the other things that you're doing from a charity standpoint in the future.
For sure. Sure. I'd love that.
Beautiful.